Identity fraud is when an attacker assumes another identity. And this is when the attacker is stealing personal information like social security numbers, any type of fake. They're using date of birth, any PII, personally identifiable information. Now, there's a U.S. piece of legislation called the Identity Theft Protection Act. And this was enacted in 2005. The Identity Theft Protection Act made it illegal to steal identities. So I'm actually going to pull this up real quick. I'll show you what this looks like. This is the bill itself. This is from congress.gov. So this is a U.S. piece of legislation. And you can read the bill here if you like. It's pretty dry reading. I wouldn't recommend it, but you just need to know that this was enacted in 2005. I mean, you don't necessarily need to know this for the Security Plus test, but good piece of information. So in the U.S., this is illegal. In not all countries, this is illegal, or comes with it significant criminal penalties. In the U.S., it does. So any type of fraud or identity theft is considered identity fraud. And that includes assuming a business name, assuming identity of an individual. And again, the attackers will gain, usually they do identity fraud to then perform some sort of financial fraud, like opening new bank accounts, purchasing like maybe a vehicle, or making large purchases, opening credit cards in the guise of that individual. Now, credential harvesting is a way for attackers to harvest different credentials to trick users into inputting credentials into a malicious website or a twin website, a website that is not the actual website but looks very similar. This can be done with a man-in-the-middle type of attack, and with credential harvesting, attackers usually want to gain access to these credentials to then exploit further resources, maybe create a user account or create an administrative account on a network. Credential harvesting is normally a technique. It can be used in traditional attacks. It can also be used to target individuals with spam messages. So it could be, you could target an organization like Twitter earlier this year had a massive hack where attackers used social engineering principles to gain access to a set of credentials from one of the admins within Twitter, and they hacked, or they assumed ownership of several types of accounts, like former President Obama, Elon Musk, and they were asking individuals to send Bitcoin to certain addresses. Had the potential to be a very damaging attack, but attackers didn't really follow through with it very well. So it wasn't as damaging as it could be. And actually, I think that was in 2020. But that was a form, attackers harvested the credentials of a personal, an admin in Twitter to perpetrate this type of attack. Invoice scams are when attackers try and trick victims into paying for different services using invoices, like online invoices in particular. So they'll send online invoices to an individual saying that they're going to be providing some sort of service. And the individual thinks they're hiring a reputable person. They'll click and they'll pay for the invoice. And then the attacker never performs the service, never does the job, and they just steal the money, or they steal the initial deposit. So with online invoicing, this has become more and more prevalent, unfortunately. Users have to be very careful about which invoices they trust, which companies they trust when dealing with online invoices.